Okay. The goal of the shiur today is Hashem. The goal of the shiur is, what's the goal? The goal is to understand, my goal is to understand the halacha. The halacha seems to be holding like the Rashba. We want to explain all the cases of the halacha. Halacha means Shulchan Aruch and Ramah. Yes. How it fits with the Rashba. That's my goal today. All through. And we're going to have to deal with the language of the two Basarashba inside. That's my goal today. So we start with Shuvas Harashba. Shuvas Harashba with David. You open? Yes. No, it's not supposed to. Made a copy to everyone. You have it here? Shuvas Harashba. It's the one with the long line. ומכל מקום. ומכל מקום. I'm reading the end of the Tshuvas HaRashba. We did it last week, but I want this week to explain how this Rashba can fit the halacha all over. This is my goal today. Umikol makom. People have the Rashba, Tshuvas HaRashba. Which line? Give me, I'll show you. I have different. This is 2 for 5 lines in the bottom. The first word in the line. 5 lines in the bottom. The first word in the line. Umikol makom. Le'inyan ikar adin asher ata shoel. Reference to the main. There's something here going on. I don't know what's going on. It's Spanish. It's written in Spanish. Oh. Okay. Good. So, he says, reference what you're asking, I will tell you. Yes, Lachko, there is to investigate. Shruas moide miktas. The oath, if somebody admits partially, you have papers, you understand to be good. Imudavka, is it specifically? Bemoide, when he admits, shu chayev miktat mamash, when he admits that he's obligated partially mamash, and what does the word mamash mean?
Actually.
Actually?
Definitely.
What does mamash mean? Specifically? Maybe actually? Definitely? Really? Oidilma, it's very important, the word mamash. It's not stam, I'm asking.
The Gemara dictionary.
What does it say? What is mamash?
Substance, reality, significance. A noun is used in either a physical or an abstract sense. This is Rabbi Frank's Gemara dictionary. Talmud dictionary. Rabbi Frank.
So mamash, actually. Or dilma maybe. When I deny it all. Elo rather, you deny it all, but through your claims, you claim the wrong claim, and through that you're obligated to pay. does this also produce Shvuas Moed Miktas? It seems you're obligated partially. You swear another part. Umistabra, and it makes sense. The Davka Moed Miktas Mamash. Specifically, when you admit partially, Mamash. Mamash. Actually, it says in the Pasuk that he will say that it is. That he will say means Mamash, you have to speak. You have to say. Mamash, actually you are saying. And when you deny it all, but you've been obligated through your claims, that one of the claims that you said you're exempt from is not being is being obligated. You don't accept what you said. You need to pay, but you didn't admit. You did not admit, so you don't have moded miksat mamash. I don't have mamash. Actually, that I admit, so I don't swear another 50 that I deny, another part that I deny. This is the conclusion of the Rashba. Mistabli has a hakira, and he makes a conclusion through a svara. Now we always know that when the Rashba brings a svara and the Rishonim says mistabli makes sense as a value decision, it's more than proof. Because when is this the proof? You can disprove it. It's been an assumption. He did an assumption. But when he says, this is my assumption, this is my svara, that is das Torah, so you can't, it's very hard to fight that. But that's what he says. He says, this is das Torah's mistab, makes sense to him, that moide the mixas davka mamash, when actually you admit partially mamash. Because the Torah says, comes the Rashba is on himself from our sugi against it. What we do Abchia? Abchia said that you don't need his mouth, mamash. You can have even what? Even witnesses. Right? So how are we going to explain Abchia Kamaisa? Abchia Kamaisa Nami. Abchia Kamaisa also. By the way, where's Moshe? Where's Shlomo? We have to call him. Put on the side, which is before again. Thank you, David. Also, a similar case. Don't learn that Rabchia Kamaisa witnesses obligated. Nami Eino Mischayev also there is not being obligated. Elo rather mitoch ta'anato, within his claim. So it's his saying. Where the Omar Lavisi, the defender says, I did not borrow. Witnesses says he borrowed, and he says, I didn't borrow. I didn't borrow all the whole 100. And witnesses says he borrowed 50. The rule is, one who says I didn't borrow, one who says I didn't borrow means he's saying if it was a loan, I didn't pay it. Because I deny there's no loan altogether. And if we know there was a loan, we know that he didn't do an act to give it back. Because in his head, there's no loan at all. So definitely he didn't spend time to pay it back. Because in his head, there's no loan. So there's a rule, when a certain person says I didn't borrow, it's as if he's saying I didn't pay it back. The Elor, yes. It was a loan. Yes. The Elor, if he said Lovisi Uporati, if he said I borrowed and I paid back, Lo Mischayev, wouldn't be obligated. If I said I borrowed and I paid back, I'm not obligated. Because according to my words, I never admit. I borrowed and I paid back. So the reason why he pays is not because the witnesses, because he said I didn't borrow. And included in his words, when I didn't borrow means that I never paid the loan. So therefore, when Rabchia says 80 means Ismail, not 80. Which means there's no parsha. According to Rabchia, according to the Ritva, until now we learned that there's two parshas. I have a parsha Moed Miktas, And through a Klali we learn that also Eidim can obligate you Shvu on the rest. If Eidim say you owe partially, you know, swear on the rest, like you admit partially and swear on the rest. That's a simple way of reading it the way the Ritmos learn. The Rajba says no. Only the mouth. The Torah says, Asher Yoy Malkusa, that he will say. Only when he mamash. When actually he says that I'm obligated, then he's obligated partially, then he's obligated Shvu on the rest. So why up here says Eidim? No, the Eidim only gave me the information that it was a loan. But really why he's obligated Shvu, because he admitted by saying, I never borrowed, he's saying is I never spent time to pay this loan that Eidim said. So therefore, says his words make him to pay 50, and that's why he has to swear another 50, because the payment of the 50 came through his mouth. That's what he says. Even though so, it's only Eidim. If Eidim said it was a loan, and then he says, I didn't borrow, so then we include in his words, so then we say, he says, he didn't pay back, it's the past, I swear another 50. But if 1/8, let me finish with 1/8 said he borrowed, not 2/8, and there's a rule we talk about which the Rajba holds that you don't have, because they are not clear. So then he doesn't swear on the rest. If you don't have Eidim, no. This is the simple way of reading the Rajba. So the Rajba was mechadish against what we learned until now from Rashi, Tosfot, Ritva. That Rabbi was mechadish, not only admitting with your mouth, mamash, obligates you shvuah on the rest. Even if Eidim say you owe money partially, you have to take a shvuah on the rest. Counselor Rashi says, no mistake. The Pasuk says, it makes sense since the Pasuk said, that he says partially I owe, he takes a shvuah on the rest. Only moide mitzat mamash. Actually, when he admits in his mouth partially. Why Rabbi said 80? No, it doesn't mean 80. It means that he was obligated through his claim. At least that he didn't borrow is included that he didn't pay back. Because if he would say I borrowed, I paid back, it wouldn't be chayav. It's only because he said I didn't borrow, means I didn't pay back. That's what it's chayav. So really, it's his mouth. Yes.
Can't you say that Rosh is just saying he agrees with Rosh?
Yes.
He's just saying that in a case where his skill is coming from himself, it's not included in one of the mixas. That's not a one of the mixas. There's two parts. There's one of the mixas,
And
then there's a rehiyah.
Right.
And we're saying that this case where his taina is machayah is not included in one of the mixas. That's not called one of the mixas. That's not.
He says it is.
That's not an nikah one of the mixas.
Well, what's the case of Rabbi Chia?
Is it Mafia?
Yes.
It could be the same case.
And what's the law?
What's the law?
Yeah. Why?
But it's because of
Under which category?
Why is it Taivish?
Under which category? Peh or Eidim?
80.
Eidim. So what's his question is an answer.
But he's proving to us, since it's 80, that means that it's not because of pet.
He doesn't say that. He said opposite. He learned.
Below.
Where's below? Where's the word below? This is the word below. If he said I never, because he said if I don't have 280, if I don't have 280, I have 1A. That's the shaila. What's the subject matter?
Not 1A. If it wasn't for 280.
Only 1A.
No, only his pet.
But that's his subject. What's his subject? What's it, the Shiur is about? 1A.
I don't know the whole truth. I don't know. I just know.
Okay, by the way, also the Goy learns. Also the Goy Mivila learns. Also the Goy Mivila learns the word alavachi means without a. But let's assume what you read. Assume wouldn't help. Let's not follow.
If it wasn't for the Kal Omer, he wouldn't be higher.
If it wasn't for the Kal Omer.
Yes.
So don't answer the question. Once you have a Kal Omer, that's you know, I'm all people. What's his problem? Good, but he's saying he's saying Rabbi is mechanish, 80. What's his problem? He said when it says skiyus, it has to be mamash. Now, when he's loyal VC is not clear, he says, "Oh, mamash, finish." No, it's chayv, it's 80. Kavachoyim, just say, Rabbi chayv mitzad 80, kavachoyim, finito. Why have to spend 3 more lines? No. Rabbi also, you should know, is his mouth. What's the guy? Because when he says loyal VC is his mouth, he could have said lovisu parat. It would be chayv. So what mechayvim is him, his mouth, and say loyal VC. So it's his mouth. And only with 80. See, he's saying that Rabbi is not a new parsha of 80. Otherwise, what's his problem? So it says a new parsha of 80. Mashma, that there's nothing else besides mamash. He's more than mamash. So what Rabbi is mechanic? So Rabbi is also mamash. Because we talk down Moshe, he's higher, mamash. That's what he's saying. Otherwise, if he's saying that there's another parsha, he's saying Rabbi is 80. That's the kind of point. What's his problem?
He's making a deal.
What?
He's making a deal. The only reason why he's higher
Yes.
is because of 80 and the Homer.
Good.
But if it wasn't for the 80 and the Homer, if it wasn't for that delivery here, he would not be higher because of more of the mix-up.
But he said, I have more than mitzvahs. He says, Nami Eino Mishchav Elo Mitoch Tanos, it's his time. So I have his mouth.
Who says he has more than mitzvahs?
He said 4 lines before. Also there, I have his mouth. Eino Mishchav Elo Mitoch Tanos. That's what he says.
Right. This is.
So wait a second.
This has the trappings of motor mixer.
Good.
Possibility of motor mixer.
Good.
Is it higher or not?
And then we learn from Kalachoy, but it's higher.
No, but because of the 80. Why is it?
No, it doesn't say
He doesn't say that. No, he doesn't say that. He says that I have his mouth.
Doesn't say the 80.
If it was 80, just say directly, Rabbi is 80. What if they say Rabbi I have his mouth? Because he could have said that, so it proves his mouth. And the formula, just say he has 80. Who says that to have a mina? It's only 80. Kabbalah tells me another parsha of 80.
Because he wants to teach us that this is not a motor mix-up.
So let him say.
He has to show us that
No, he
he
should have said, I have it now. You should know it's 80. It doesn't say that. So the Rabbi, even though it's 80, but I still have it now. But don't think it's mouth. I still need 80. But it's his mouth, because I said before, only mouth, mamash. This is the passage to read.
You're right. I'm not arguing, but there's another. It's in Swara.
Yes.
The reason why he has to make the Shiur, what he wrote is it's a deal. It's his own deal. He said because they might have to pay the money, so the mail is for that. You understand? Therefore, also he's going to take the Shiur. Not that, right? It's on the mail.
Okay. The problem with this, yes, the Shmuel.
Maybe you can say, you have Sibolo, British school.
Oh, I love those words. This we're going to use the Ramchal's rules called Siba Bilti Shkula. What does that mean? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I understand the Hebrew words. Explain what you mean.
Concept.
British school means that you have, like, some things are not always easy, they're complex.
Right.
So you might have several things that cause something.
Good.
Bring something about. So maybe here, you said Mamash, you took the Anna, so
Yes.
that's like in the picture, this Siba is more prominent, more standing out Siba. But you also have in the background maybe the 80.
So why use the word mamash? When I have 80, I don't need mamash.
Even so, that doesn't.
I don't need mamash. I don't need his mouth.
They're in the background. They're not the eager of why the things happen. That's not a.
I want to ask you a question. After the Kavachomer of Rabbi, according to the Gita, there's any difference between his mouth admitting partially to the Shvuah or Adim says he owes money? Is there any difference? Is any difference between if he admits partially or Adim says he owes partially? No, there's no difference. So it's a Siba Shkula. Both are Siba Shkula. So what's this problem Rabbi Chia says? I have 80. What do you have to say? I have this taina. Don't worry, even Rabbi Chia, I have a taina there. And he explained what's the taina, because all the VC is the parati, because if it's a little parati, I won't be high. So when Mechayim means my mouth, what do you have to spend all that? So I have 80. Must be holds no. Moide Benedictus is only Moide Mamash. And where Rabbi Chia Mamash? His mouth, that's his mouth.
That means that's the equal.
Ain't just there to give me support, but it's my mouth is Mechayim.
But the sepa is the mouth.
The mouth.
The back.
After I have the knowledge that he owes the money, maybe he paid or not. He said he didn't pay. So therefore, he's Mechayim himself. It's his mouth, his moide. He's hired to pay the 50, and he has to pay, and then he has to take a shore another 50.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Rabbi Chia.
Yeah.
He says Rabbi Chia, sure. The problem I have with this, that the Shulchan Aruch quotes this Rashba, and he holds that it's Potter from Shmuel. So what's going on?
No.
It is Rabbi Chia.
Oh, he says clear the spot. He says it's not this case. The spot says that
That what?
they said you borrowed and you didn't pay. You borrowed and you still owe the money.
Nice.
Right?
That's a different pimp. That's a different
It's not
pimp.
ready here.
What is it? What the case of the Rashba?
He said this is ready here.
This is Rabbi Chia.
It's spot.
It's against the Sma. It's against the Messiah. What's going on? Right?
Right.
So I want to give an answer to that. And I want to prove my answer through all the Shulchan Aruch. There's 3 Shulchan Aruch printed in Savot sheets. We learned last week 1, today this morning we learned 2, and we learned a 3rd one last week. So we're going to read all the 3 Shulchan Aruch, show how the Sma learns it all, and now the Shach all along learns opposite. Okay?
And therefore what?
It's really Machlekes Rishonim, I learned the Sugya. And therefore what? I'll explain the Rashba, that is the Beis Yosef held like the Rashba, and the Rambam and the Rashba, and all along they follow that opinion. And what's scary about it, it's not scary that this is the halacha.
What is scary?
Means that has to be noach l'seichel in there. That's according to the Shulchan Aruch, that's the ultimate truth.
That's Torah, the same.
Yes, the Das Torah of the Beis Yosef, this understanding of the Rashba, that only Moed Mitzvahs Mamosh, and the Kalvachoyim doesn't add a new parsha of Eidim, rather it's all a support for his mouth, it's only his mouth Mamash. It's the parsha Stalo. And not like the Kshach and everybody else, and the Ritva, and the Ran, and all the other Rishonim, that if I have a Shiur of money, even not through my mouth, through Eidim, through Anam Sada, Bezin, it's all the same. No! Only Moed Mitzvahs Mamash. David, what is Mamash?
Certainly.
No, Menachem Mendel swears.
Mashiach now.
Right. Good.
Just before we go on, what's the halacha?
I'm going to explain that. Yeah, your Chiddush, that it was worth it you to come to Har Zion, they had this Chiddush. A few days ago, I understood this, and I started to dance in the morning. I started to dance. I says, why dancing? You got a Chiddush to understand this now. Unbelievable. And today, I was Mechadesh, a Chiddush on it, and yesterday I was Mechadesh, another Chiddush on it, and 3 days ago was the Chiddush. So I have a Chiddush 3 days ago, Chiddush on it 2 days ago, and another Chiddush today. 3 Chiddushim all prove that this is true. Okay, listen carefully. So today, with the help of Hashem, I'll explain the Shita Sarash. Let's read the Shulchan Aruch again, Siman Peizayin. Paz. Peizayin is in Daf Dalet and it's Labot Kashis. Rabbi, Rabbi Socho, Peizayin, Shulchan Aruch Peizayin. Yair Eliyahu, Ruben, good. Peizayin Hey. Did I have it, Rabbi Yosef? In the Slavot Kashitz, Daf Dalet and Tap. Ein Shvuah, the Shulchan Aruch says, there's no Shvuah There's no shvur of somebody admit partially. Bekoifer bakol, when I deny it all, and he's being obligated because of his claim. The way he represents his claim of his exemption, he's been obligated to that, even though he meant to say to deny it all. Such a case, you don't swear. Go on, for example. The plaintiff demanded 100 zuz. And the defender says, I didn't borrow anything. When witnesses came and said, that I borrowed 50. He went back and he said, I borrowed 50. He's been held a liar because he said I didn't borrow. And then he said he did borrow, even though they don't know if he paid back. He's already a liar, he cannot answer that he paid it back. And when he says he didn't borrow, he's basically agreed that he didn't pay back. It's not believed to say he paid back. So we take his first statement, I didn't borrow, and it's included when I said I didn't borrow, I didn't pay. And therefore, he needs to pay 50. In such a case, he doesn't take a shvur on oath another 50. Wait a second. The McCoy of this is the Rashba, the Sma says. The source of this aloch of the Besioyse, of the Mechaber is the Rashba. But our Chubas Rashba says that's Rabchia, right?
No, it's like Rabchia.
It's like
It's
Rabchia.
not the same thing.
Why is not the same thing?
It's like.
We know.
The same thing.
According to the Rashba, this is the case apparently. Before we gave an answer, I read it first, and all the Rismedesh on the other side of Al Zion. For a whole week, they're trying to figure it out. But the Rashba can figure it out. It's against what the way the Bes Yosef quotes the Rashba. The Bes Yosef quotes the Rashba in the Bes Yosef, and when he brought the Mechaber, he brings Akas Allah. He says, when I deny, I don't know any, I didn't borrow anything, and then he says that I borrowed 50, I don't know if I paid it back or not. He says you don't swear now the 50. Why? True, the 80, don't know if I paid it back. But I said I didn't borrow, it means I never paid it back. So then what? The Gitva says I have an answer. The Rashba says I have my oidoy. It's his word. That's what the Rashba said in the Tshuva. So you should have Shua. And here the Shulchan says you put. What's going on? So we gave an answer like this. I want to give the answer before we gave an answer like this. Simple way. I want to mechadesh, as I said during the week for the boys. But today we're going to add more stuff to it, which I didn't speak about.
I don't know why. When the argument,
Yes,
his words are, he said, you have a mama.
right,
And the person says, don't.
right. And we translate now that he says I didn't borrow.
So I don't.
Right,
Two later come and say that you have a testimony.
right,
And then you have to take it.
right. And the Mechaber says you don't take a shul. What?
It's different.
What's different?
Here he came back and said that.
We don't care. When he came back, it's not because he's a kafir. He's not believed anymore. We brought the Gemara to Metzia, page 17a, that if somebody said I didn't borrow and he says he did borrow, you cannot go back and say I paid. He's held as a liar. We don't listen to him anymore. And therefore, you only listen to his first statement. It's a Gemara on page 17a.
So you can't come back.
You can't come back and talk anymore.
No way you can come back.
He's not believed.
No way you can come back.
If there's no Eidim, he can come back. He can change from tool to tool. But since there's Eidim, he cannot come back and speak anymore. So he only left with the first time that he said that he didn't borrow. It means he never paid it back. So it's finished.
Why did they take this from the rest?
Extra word is not stop. It's not needed. It's just to get more than nothing done. But the point is, reference to us, the Rabchia, according to the Rabchia said he has shvur, and he says you put him shvur. And not only that, the Sma quotes the Rashba, and he says Rabchia is when the Eidim said that you borrowed the 15, you didn't pay it back. And here they didn't just know you borrowed. They don't know if you paid it back. So I don't have a clear Eidim, and I don't have clear Oido, it's only through an inference. So I'm not mechuyev moide mixas on the rest. But the problem is the rashba that we have says Klali that Rabbi Chia's case is when the Chiur was not from the aiding. The Chiur was what? From his mamash, from his mouth. What's going on? So really, I think this is a pshat in the Sma. I'm going to say two cases, and I think that's the pshat in the Sma. Okay? When somebody says, when a defender says, I didn't borrow. So now there's a rule, there's a mission in Shavuos. It's a Gemara in Bobasa, page 6. One who says I didn't borrow is as if he's saying I didn't pay. There is two cases, and I want to say there's a difference between the two. One is Aiden say you did borrow. The defender says I didn't borrow. Aiden says you did borrow. They don't have to pay it back. So we have a deal. When I said I didn't borrow, it's included as a little pay it back. But what happened if the Aiden said, after all, the defender says I didn't borrow, that he borrowed the money and he didn't pay back? So now he needs to pay the 50 from now. Two avenues. One is Aiden said he borrowed the money and he didn't pay back. Number two, he himself said that I didn't borrow the money, which means I never paid it back.
If you borrow.
And Aiden said I borrowed, so it's including my word.
No, he didn't say, no, you're pushing the Aiden into his word.
No,
He
again.
didn't say it.
We have a rule, when someone says I never borrow, he says as if I never paid it back.
If
Now,
he borrowed it,
if he borrowed it.
part of the statement.
Now, if Aiden said, listen, if Aiden said that he did borrow, then only if he paid it back, so we know that he said that he never paid that. If Aiden said that he borrowed and he didn't pay back, the Aiden said he didn't pay back. And he said I didn't borrow. Vadai, I also have two avenues. He didn't pay because the Aiden said he didn't pay. And also he said he didn't pay. But he said he never borrowed. And we know that he borrowed from the Aiden and didn't pay back.
He said if he.
So I don't need, so they're not paying back. I have about two reasons. After the if, it's including his word.
Yeah, but
It's including his word, that if.
It's a totally on the if.
It's an if dollar. As if he said, it's that he's saying in dollar. Now,
Okay, so totally is not it's not a statement.
it's not a statement, but I'm going to show you. When relax, I know all that. But I want to show you it's not totally.
Okay.
Listen carefully. When I means the defender. I say I never borrowed the money. And there is AD that I borrowed and then he paid back. The Hitler says, what do you mean? I know there's AD. So as I'm shaking to say I didn't borrow, I know there is AD. AD were with me that I borrowed the money and I didn't pay it back. So what does it mean when I said I didn't borrow the money? It only means one thing. It means that I want to gain time. That's why by Shavuos 18 is we make a Shavuot. How can you put a Shavuot up here? So the Ritva says, we learned it last week, it's in the papers here. In Daf, base, Amud Aleph, below in the Slabotka sheets. He says, I know there is rating. He knows clearly, I'm reading 3 lines at the bottom of the right column in Davalef in the Slabotka sheets in the Ritva. He knows for sure there is aiding. The Makrishan of the nine. He only did it to gain time. So now let's take that svara and we want to make from this svara a very big chiddush. This is a pshat in the gospel. It's pshat in the Sma, and I will show you all of it. Just a second. This is what we're going to do today. This is what when I meet the defender, I say I didn't borrow. So then, when I say I didn't borrow, you can say anyone who says I didn't borrow is included. As if he's saying I didn't pay back. It's a Talmud, right?
You can retranslate it as.
That's a Talmud. That's a depending. If there is, I didn't pay back.
Right.
But if I know there's 80 around,
Yes.
I know there's witnesses around.
gonna show up.
And not only that, I know the witnesses know that I borrowed, I didn't pay back. They know I didn't pay back. What the Ritva says, that's the concept. So what really he's saying, what the defender, when the defender's saying, the defender says, I didn't borrow the money. He knows in 2 days, in 1 day, in a few minutes, the plaintiff is going to bring witnesses because he knows they exist. That he did borrow.
So what kind of time?
And not only that, they know that I didn't pay it back because they're with me all the time, whatever, so they know. So then, the Ritva said before, the reason why after the Kalbachoyim I'm allowed to accept Shmuel according to Pshat and Rashi, you know why it isn't? Because for sure, I just meant to gain time. When I say I didn't borrow, I just wanted to gain time.
How much time are you gonna gain? If they're gonna come right away, how much time are you gonna gain?
Sometime, because I don't have the money in my pocket right now.
In front of the base,
Yes, that's what the Ritva says.
He's pushing up the court date.
Right. Good. So, which means I only want to use the Ritva, very simple concept. That when I know there's 80 around, so then my statement I didn't borrow is not a total statement.
It's not true, that's
It's not a total statement. I'm relating. Forget about it. You don't understand.
It's like, it's the
Oh, you
same
don't-
moment.
that's a caution.
I paid you back now. It's the same problem.
You know, sometimes Beijing makes rewind. What's the word rewind? So wait a second. You know what he said that word? He knew already that proof exists. We didn't realize when he said what he meant. Now we know. He had all in his head because he knew the whole picture. We didn't know.
That's.
So the circumstance, wait a second. So therefore, I want to go back and say 2 cases. Tell me the difference. We have 1 case. The defender says, "I didn't borrow," and A didn't know that he borrowed money, but they don't know if he paid it back or not. So then, although the rule is, when I say I didn't borrow, it's included that I didn't pay back. Totally. It's a totally a mistaber, but it's not a totally mucha. The halach is, that's what I meant, it's including my words, that totally that I didn't pay back. But it's a mucha. Maybe I meant to say, maybe, that maybe we throw out from halacha. Basic doesn't take that maybe, but in concept can exist. Maybe when I said I didn't borrow means, that 50. I meant to include because I paid it back, so I said I didn't borrow. But that's what I meant. You couldn't, possible. Somebody who said it looks crazy, no? We don't accept it, halacha, but it's, so therefore we call it a deal kamistaber. But let's take the other case. When somebody says, I did not borrow at all, and there is aiding in existence, and he knows that they know he borrowed the money and they know he didn't pay it back. So now when I say I didn't borrow, what's in his head? He's saying, I don't know the money. I don't know the money. And I didn't pay back the money. So, is on the hook, he has to pay, so it means I cannot pay now, I didn't borrow now, I didn't pay now, and I didn't pay it, I'm not gonna pay it until you're gonna catch me on the court. Right? So therefore, in such a case, it's a deal kmucha or it's a mistava. I would say it's more mucha. This is the small of the Rosh. The Rosh was saying that the case of Rabchia, we know Moide says on his mouth, mamash. Moide miktas mamash. Actually, when you admit, where's my Rabchia? I have Moide. I can have 2 types of Moide. I can have a Moide mamash of mistabro, and I can have mucha. Once I can have Rabchia and a mucha, I don't have a heche to say lower. If the pasuk says, "Yom accused mamash," and from a Kalbachoymer I can learn aiding too, but only diuk mucha, we don't know that he's mamish mucha. Is a diuk kama parashon parati when the diuk is mucha. So I don't know less. So this is what Rabbi is saying. This is what the Rashba is saying. And this was everything is great. Shulchan Aruch is right, and Rabbi is right. I'm going to reread the Rashba and the Shulchan inside the cave. Shulchan Aruch says that when the defender says I didn't borrow, and the Eidim said I borrowed the money, and they don't know if I paid it back, I don't have Eidim, and I don't have his mouth. Because his mouth, the halach is, because it's a parati, but it's not a you can stop it, it's not mucha. But the case of the Rashba is different. The case of the Rashba is that the Eidim said, I borrowed and didn't pay back. Wait a second. So it's Eidim on me? No, you still need me. So I have two avenues. Where I gain, if the Eidim said, I borrowed and didn't pay back, what I need me? Because Eidim can never mechayev. It's only mouth. But I gain that my mouth is diuk mucha. When they didn't know that I borrowed and didn't pay back, and I said I borrowed, I didn't borrow, so then as I say clearly, a diuk mucha, I'm saying I never took care of that loan. Give me more time, pay later on, but I didn't pay now. I'm not paying until you have to put me in a corner. So I didn't pay that loan. It says clearly it's my mistake because he knows it's high. So that's what he's saying. He's relating to that. It's not a total, it's related. What's the game time, as the Rifo says?
No, but it's all in the basins, how they understand what he said. You're saying that.
The language of the Rifo was, Yoda Father, special these. So it's Mishtame. Mishtame means I didn't pay, I'm not going to pay until you put me in a corner. So he says, no, I never borrowed means the borrowed money that they would come second. I didn't pay, I'm not going to pay later on. Everybody's reason. Means I didn't pay. 1 second. Just want to finish, wrap it up. This is what Rabbi says. Rabbi says, comes the Rashba and says, even Rabbi is more than Mamash. Because Bishai we talked about Noisa. Since he said, if he said I borrowed, I paid back, and the Eidim said he borrowed and he didn't pay back, would be high of money, but not high of shvur. Because Eidim said I borrowed and didn't pay back, and I said I borrowed and I did pay back. I'm contradicting the 80. 80 may say I need to pay the 50, but I don't swear another 50 because you need only me in order to have swear only my mouth. And in my mouth, I'm not more than be high. That's what the Rashba says. The Rashba says Rabchia is because he said I didn't borrow, is included that he didn't pay back. Because if he said I borrowed and I paid back, 80 contradict him. 80 make me may pay 50, but it won't make me to swear another because you need my mouth, my mouth. Not even hex. I said I borrowed and I paid back, contradict. But since I didn't say I borrowed and I paid back, I said I didn't borrow, means I never paid back. So now it's my mouth, and there's a diuk mucha. So therefore, here says the guy swore over there, not in there. This is
it's a diuk of the basement.
Yes.
It's not him himself.
no, he knows that. So that's
I know
what
he knows, but he didn't.
So since we know retroactively that he knew about it, it's in his words. Yes, thank you.
No, it's on the basement how they understood his word.
This is what he meant.
Meaning, he says, I never borrowed.
Yes,
And we want to retranslate as, I never paid.
right.
Now, once the witnesses come,
And they say they didn't pay.
no, they say he borrowed and he didn't pay.
So what he meant me to say?
So now that strikes out the first, I never borrowed.
Right.
They're saying he borrowed. So
Right.
what we're left with is this statement. I didn't pay.
And give me time till I'm gonna pay. But I say, give me time means I didn't pay.
Just take out this.
That's what the Yidro says, give me time. That's what you put him shvur. Give me time. So he says, I didn't pay, give me time. So this is in his words, he knows it. And that's what he's gonna put shvur on it. So the diuk mucha.
Because you
Good.
strike out his I never borrowed because
Yes.
the witnesses say that he borrowed. So now it equals he never paid.
Right. Now, yes, the Rebbe, he admits that he didn't pay the 50, so he needs to pay it. Yes. He said, I didn't borrow.
That's it.
Because when I say I didn't borrow and I know in my mind is kicking around that know that I borrowed and I didn't pay, I'm really saying, give me time. So I'm going to pay the unpaid loan that I didn't pay.
So you're saying that's included in.
See, in those words. That's a day in the gather of mamash. Where is the mamash? In the moed, yes. Yes. Yes, that's where the mitzvah must go after the Pchis.
That's for it, tell me.
He said that's what he meant in his words. Of Rabchia. Of Rabchia. Of Rabchia. Yes. So the Shulchan Aruch is great, and the Rashba is great. What? That's what the Sma meant. when the Sma says that Rabbi is that the Eidim know that I borrowed and pay back, that's what he meant. But doesn't mean that the Eidim are Mechayev. The Eidim said that I borrowed and pay back, maybe I need to pay the 50. But why I'm Chayev Shua on the other 50? When the Eidim says I borrowed it back because it's my words now, it's not a diuk amistab, it's diuk mucha. And I said I didn't borrow it.
They didn't say he still owes.
They say he still owes the money, he still owes 50.
Why? It's still, what's the difference? What's the difference? They say he still owes it. They don't.
If they didn't said I just borrowed the money, so when I said I didn't borrow, so it's a diuk tolu. When I said I didn't borrow means that if there was a loan, I'm also saying I didn't pay it back. It's another diuk mucha, because you can stop it, because could be I meant to say that I really paid it. That's what means I didn't borrow. It's not a diuk mucha.
The Rosh is building on his being motive. What is that?
Right.
If it's, where's it coming from? The 80 or the motive?
The motive. I'm saying it comes from his words. When it's included in my mouth, when I said I didn't borrow, that is not a diuk tolui, and a diuk amistabel, rather it's a diuk mucha. That's what I meant. When I know, retroactively know what is in his head. I just now came back from the meeting. I came late. I had to run to the hospital, to Shaare Tzedek, whatever, to meet some guy. His mother's sick, long story. But after I left the meeting, so Betzalel, the Mankal, tells me, you know what he meant? He meant this is what he was looking for. So how do you know? So when I started the speech, I meant A, and he right away tried to answer me about B. And then when we finished the conversation after half an hour, I realized that there's also another subject A. Now I was talking to subject B. Means in his mind, he only came to meet me only for A. So right away, I was talking about B, he's talking about A. That means that was in his mind. Although I didn't know that, I didn't know what was in his head. This is exactly it. Since I didn't know what's in his head, but later on, I know this agent that said he borrowed it, and know he didn't pay back. So when he's saying, basically, I didn't borrow, what do you mean to say? Give me time. What in his head? What's like? That's what he's saying. That's what the Ritva said before, right? So that's what he means. It's moide mitzvahs mamash. But if agent just said I borrowed, then if I pay back, and he said I didn't borrow, it means I didn't borrow. It also includes a totally that if there is a loan, it means I didn't pay back. But it's not directly what myself I'm talking. That's what is in my mind. When a guy knows his agent will catch him soon, right-handed, they said red-handed. So he means to say, give me time. That's what he's, I don't know what's in his head, but when I make a rewind, that's what that was going on. That was going on.
Why do you need him to be motive?
Because the Pasuk says, according to the Rosh, the Pasuk is saying only his mouth, nothing else. But Kavachoyma doesn't produce a new parasha when the Torah says only this. Ashiyoyma mistabas bedavka. If the Torah meant to say bedavka, Kavachoyma cannot add against it. But the Torah said a rule, and I made a Kavachoyma and come in again. When the Torah says only this, she can't make a Kavachoyma. The only thing is, you have to look in a previous case, where's this motive?
Only this means only motive mitzvahs and not motive b'kol.
That's the simple way of reading it. But it's not possible to read like that because then he brings up here. When he brings up here, la fukede. So but wait a second. But why us to get into up here that there's a moide when up here can be 80 down the ocho the moide. I have 80. 80 is a kind of we use 80. Must be learning only mouth, nothing else. In all the three chuvas of the Rashba, we only picked up one. That's clearly what he says. Only moide mamash. And I'm showing you now through all the three shulchan we have some time. We're going to go through all the three places in Shulchan in Choshen Mishpat, in Peizayin, in Lamed, in Ainei. All along, the Rashba is the source that says only mouth, nothing else. Not Alan Sadeh, not 80, only mouth. And the Shach writer scheme, what about 80? What about Alan Sadeh? The Sma and the Beisoisa don't relate to it. Because in their mind, it's only mouth, nothing else. I buy up here where I have my mouth. I have. Since they even said that I borrowed and didn't pay back. So when I say I didn't borrow, it's clearly saying that I didn't pay. Then give me time. Tell me to pay. So if I said I didn't pay, so I have to pay 50 because I said it. So then you have to pay another 50. You have to swear another 50. It's not a Mamar Tomu, it's a direct statement,
Yeah, but
or Muchach statement. It can be totally Muchach to Mistaber or direct statement. I'm not so sure how to define this. But either way,
Rosh was talking about that, in the end, Rosh was talking about that case, but he say he didn't pay it back.
yes, you want to see, that's what the Sma says. But not because they ate it. It's because it's smell. Let's see now again. I'm going to read now the Rashi. Let's read the Rashi.
you expand.
I'm going to read now the way I read.
That was the kasha. The kasha was Rosh, but didn't say that.
Right, so I'll show you the Rashi what it
The
says.
answer is he said that.
Yes, you want to see inside? I'm going to read inside that.
You expanded the concept of mama.
Yes.
Okay, but that's already level.
Okay. When we stop, I'm now reading now 2, 4, 5 lines at the bottom of the Rashi, my lines. When we stop, after he says it makes sense. The Dav comes when it says mamash. Only if you admit mamash. The Shiur says only when he speaks. Mamash. What we're going to do Rabchia Kamaisa? Where's the Moide Mamash? I have anything. Where's the Moide Mamash? Now, also there, he's not obligated only through his claim. He says, I never borrowed. If he said that I borrowed and I paid back, the way I read it before, wouldn't be higher money. Because the only money I borrowed, I paid it back. And he says, I borrowed and I paid back, I won't have to pay. No, that's not the case of the Rashi. The case of the Rashi is that the 80 say I borrowed and I didn't pay back. So I need to pay 50, but I'm not going to Mechayev Shvur. But if I said, I borrowed and I paid back, Loi Mischayev, you hear this from a bell, Loi Mischayev what? Loi Mischayev Shvur another 50. The 50 I'm Mechayev anyhow. Because the agent said I borrowed and didn't pay back. But if I said I borrowed and didn't pay back, you don't have my door, then Mechayev 50 and then give me Shvur another 50. But since I said I didn't borrow, so now who said that I didn't pay back is me. Although I don't need me because I have the agent that says I borrowed and paid back, but it wouldn't make higher Shua another 50. So I have the because I admit that I didn't pay that 50. Besides the agent, I feel okay, that's the agent. So I need the agent because without the agent won't be duk nucha. What's 1A? Okay, this is why I read it. Now, we're going to prove this all over. In the papers of Slabotka, yes, what do you want to say?
If you're learning this, it's talking about the 80 came and said that he also didn't pay back.
Right.
Then why is it high because of his timing?
Because 80, which one have what? The Kira was Kira or the pay the 50? Paying the 50 doesn't matter. Because I don't need his mouth to Mechayev the 50. He said I borrowed and pay back. But our subject is Mechayev Shvur on the Kira. So only the 50 came through my words. So then I'm Mechayev. So I have to have, besides the 80, I have to have me. So if it's me, what I need the 80? Because without the 80, it will be Diuk Mistaber. Diuk Tole Mistaber. With 80, we didn't move on. So it's Mamash.
If you have 80, what do you need here?
If I have what?
If you have 80, what do you need here?
Answer, I don't need, if I need him to pay the 50, I don't need him. But the 80 will not make high me Shvur another 50. Because we said Hashem accused his only mouth. 80 will make high me partially and not Shvur the rest. Because the Rashba holds only mouth Mamash. So it wouldn't help. Kavachoymet cannot mechadish a new partial until it says it's no new partial. Hashem accused his only the Dafka Mamash. Kavachoymet cannot mechadish when the Torah says don't. Toilet can only tell me in the parsha of Moed. How? When I say I didn't borrow, and then he said I borrowed and I paid back. So I have my the 50 of Chayiv because the agent said, but the Mechayiv on the Kfir because I also said that I didn't pay it back. I say I didn't borrow, and it's a Diuk Mucha. So therefore I need to swear another 50. Why not?
Because it's built upon his being motive.
Right.
So he's motive.
Yeah, but you need to support the aging. Yeah, but without the knowledge of this high because of the aging, his oido is not there. So it's not mamash. When I say I owe 50, it's mamash. But when I say I don't know, just as included because he had the knowledge and all that. Who says that's in the parsha of Yoima deals that there is Yoima? The Kalvachon will tell him he's doing the parsha. But it's in the parsha of his mouth, nothing else. Okay, well, how do I know this? I'll show you two of the Shulchan Aruch that you have to say. Let's see Siman Lamed. It's in the papers of Slavoka sheets in Daf Dalet. Guys, Daf Dalet. Rabbi Yaakov, right after this, I need to speak to you. The Chuf. Okay, good news. Siman Lamed. Siman Lamed. Gimel. Reuven, you haven't Siman Lamed, you have to pay some of the sheets. We spoke about them in the morning. Reuven says, I lent you 1,500 zehuvim. Reuven told Shimon 1,500 zehuvim. Maybe Chamish Shvei brings 5 witnesses. Echod, he says, I saw 100. Echod Reish 200. Echod Shin 300. V'Havtav 400. V'Havtav 500. Again, I say you owe me 1,500. How? I bring 5 witnesses. One time I lend you 100, one time 200, one time 300, one time 400, one time 500. How much is this? 500 plus 400 plus 300 plus 200 plus 100, 1,500. If each witness testified that it was a different timing, first says was a Nisan, the other one says is in Cheshvan, in Iyah. Each was a separate time. Mishalem Shvamot Tafshin, he pays 700. The Shosh was a thing on there, says make a shvur on 100. The Gad Gelolov Ashvamot, he rolls on them shvur on the other 700. Shenisha is left over, which means I have 580. One says 100, one says 200, one says 300, one says 400, one says 500. I combine them together. I said, since they're not contradicting each other, because they're really saying that each loan happened at different time. And also the claimer claims that each loan was a separate time. So if every witness is a true witness, but I only on each loan I have one witness. I combine all the other 5 witnesses, and I say the minimum amount collectively is 700. So if I put the 500, 400, I have 2 witnesses on 400. If I put the 300 and the 200, I have witnesses on 200. And I take the extra 100 of the 500. And the extra 100 of the 300, I have 2 witnesses, another 100. That's 700. And the 1 witness on 100 is left, he puts Shvua. Shvua say Echad on the 800, on the extra 100. And I roll a Shvua, Gilgul Shvua, on the rest of the 700 is left. Okay, this is Shulchan Aruch. Aval imidu kulam v'yimecho all in one day. Ba'achosho emishalim v'matay. Okay, not important. Cheni yustam, the invite stam. Don't even adon v'chishim la'akir. Okay, this is the rule. So now comes the shach. And as a kasha, we printed the shach in the papers here for the people. Shach. I have the shach as a daf. It's page Chof Dalet. It's Siman Lamed. Shach Yud in the right column. V'yishor shvur d'oraisa alameo, and then you do Gilgul shvur the rest. Ve'od mishtabe ala kol mikol de'abchia. Comes the Shach and it says, I don't understand the Shulchan Aruch. True, I combine together the 5 witnesses that altogether I owe 700, and I'm left with 1 witness extra that I owe 100, and I do Gilgul shvur on the other 700. I just altogether. Out of the 1,500, 700, I have 2 witnesses on 700. I'm left with 1 witness on 100. Shvua d'oraisa, Shvua Seideva, and I roll on the rest. Just forget about it. I need to swear the rest, not because of Eidechot and Gilgul, because Eidim told me that I owe part, and if Eidim told me that I owe part, the B'chia said he take a shvua and take it from. Right? So he answers. So came and in Eidim Ela did Tziruf, No. When I have Eidim through a combination, we don't say Shavuos Kapchia. The Chemashma Livasma, you can smart son of a set. But anyhow, what does the Shach say? When I have Kli Eidim, so then Kapchia says I'm high. But when the Eidim themselves, each one testified at a different time, he says, Nisan, Iyot, each one said a different time. I just combine it together. It's basically combines them. That's not enough. The Mechayev Shavuos Kapchia. Wait a second. The problem is, what about Anan Sadeh? Anan Sadeh is enough. The Shach says, and it's like the basic. So according to the Sma, the simple, the Rashba to relearn is very simple. This is careful. This is a Kiddush of today. According to the Sma, it's very simple. Or the Rashba we read today is very simple. Because when the defender says, I didn't borrow anything. As if he never paid it back. But 80 now didn't come and said he owes 700. It's a combination together of one witness, a different timing, that we say we do 80 Satzil that it was 700. So therefore, you don't have a Duke Nucha. When he said I didn't borrow, that I meant to say that I borrowed and I didn't pay it back. And I want to gain time. Because it's 80 is going to be start efforts. Even though the rule of Kol Avisa Parati exists, like we had in the other Shulchan Aruch says, 80 says I borrowed 50. And I said I didn't borrow. So I'm not going to. What about Rabbi Chia? The guy says do. No, there, when I said Olavisi, it's a Kli deal with Parati because 80 said I paid, I borrowed, I didn't pay back. So I meant to say that I didn't pay back. So I admit, it's my oitor. Down the 80 the Mechaim on the 50, but my oitor is on the 50. If I take a shul on the rest, that's when the 80 are clear. When they're not clear, so I don't have clear 80, I don't have clear oitor. So everything is jumps out. Same thing is here. Here I don't have a clear oitor. Even though I have oitor, because I said I didn't borrow. And 80 collectively, I put them together. He did borrow 7. He didn't pay it back. True. But it's not a direct edus. It's edus b'tziru. So therefore, you can't say including in my loyal visi that I knew there's 80 of the tziru. And I meant to say, give me time. No, you don't say that. Therefore, there's no direct oido boy the mitzvahs mamash. That's Shulchan Aruch says again and again. There's no problem. Boy the mitzvahs. Let's read another Shulchan Aruch. In page of Slavotka sheets and now hey, another case. Guys, guys, the claimer says 100. Now, place for this loan. More than another 100. Now, for another loan. She'll be sick of his manaka that I lent you another time. Such and such. The defender, Yeshiva answers back. You have nothing in my hands. Why? The first loan I pay you such and such. My Rosh, the second loan, when we talk down or something, when basic starts counting 1 + 1 + 1, Ikiru basic recognize Shadain Chavla Nosef Shtal Voice. He's too awesome from those 2 loans. It's in Dinari. Says as if 2 witnesses says, Shezro Kamishi, Shara Bezin Eidim, Bezin are testifying that Bamesh Yoida what he did. Sheni Shalolo, Bezin testifying that he admits, Bamesh Yoida that what he admits, Sheni Shalolo is left over. The Sholosh Rumin Ater Rasha. Boom, boom, boom. Here the Shulchan Aruch defines clearly Rabchia. That Bezin are Eidim, that what he admit, he didn't admit. He said, I paid it all. But he also said, I paid it all. Because I gave this, and I give this, and I get 20, I get 50, I get 70. Wait a second. If somebody comes to Bezin, I don't know nothing. You know what? Because 1 + 1 is 2, and I paid. Sorry, 1 + 1 is 3, and I paid it 3. So Bezin recognized that he admitted that he only paid 2. He has to pay. But he said 1 + 1 means 3. He said 3, and he paid. But we know that when he says tree is a mistake himself. Right? So really, so wait a second. Is it Anan Saada or it's him? It's him. Director, Mamash. Menachem Mendel Schneelson, Mamash. It's him, Mamash. That's what he says. Let's read it again. Bezdin is like two witnesses said that he has 50, because Bezdin are witnesses. What? When he admit, that's not here. Agents is saying that when he admits, it's true. The comes the Ramon, he says, that's only when Bezdin recognize that. When according to his calculation, he admits that he's too old. Although he made the wrong conclusion, but we throw out the conclusion, but when he said he paid 1 + 1 altogether, he owes the money. So he admitted he owes the money. So it's more than Miktas or it's 80? It's more than Miktas. Mamash. Avol comes the Ramon, which is the Rashbo. Avol, but if he denies it all, but he's obligated partially because he's not believed in his words, that's not called admitting partially. That's not called admitting partially. What's the case? The Sma says, because basically doesn't believe him, or he says, I did a sin. I paid ribis for you. You're not allowed to pay ribis. I paid the ribis of the bank. They basically check. Since not a big ribis or something, there was Isra Dorais, you're Rosh, we don't believe you. So when Basin doesn't believe you, so then you said I paid. And the reason why you say you're still going to pay, because the base doesn't believe you, but you never admit in your mouth. It's basic. It's Adim, it's basic. There's no parsha of Adim. Comes the shop and says, I don't understand. Second biggest law in the shop. How could be such a small? The hero be based in the well, the Cholduch in all places in Shas, based in Hoshi so I have the Basin doesn't believe me. The Basin knows I shluch high because I said I was a Rosh, I paid Ibis. So Basin knows that I shluch old. Basin, I'm not worse than 80. It's not even a kasha. Because according to the Rosh, for what is it? It's not mamash. It's Basin, it's 80. But I don't need Basin and 80. I need him. And 80 can give me information. But I need him to admit. And he didn't admit, so that's why it doesn't work.
Well, we know the basic.
So therefore, all the Shulchan Aruch is great. The halacha, according to the Besoisim and Smart, this is what the halacha. That was like the Rashba. That when the Torah says Kiyuzeh is mamash. So what's the Kal V'chomer? The Kal V'chomer is when I denied it all. I say Lo Levisti, and I want to make a rule. Is it told that if there was a loan I didn't pay back? Who says that's included in his words? Outward, he says mamash. You don't Kal V'chomer. If he said mamash, mamash, if he didn't help you, it's also like mamash. But you still need in the parsha him mamash. Because the Torah says Kiyuzeh, only him, nothing else. Has to be in the box. Okay, Musos. I want to say a Musos, something a very simple chiddush, which everybody knows. But to me, it was a big chiddush this morning to think about. Very famous. All I'm saying is Prosut Pshat. But for me, it's a big chiddush. The depths of it, to understand it, it's a very big chiddush. We know that Yaakov Avinu left his parents. He didn't honor his parents. For what? For 22 years plus 14 years. The 22 years that he didn't honor his parents, he got punished that his son went away from him 22 years. Yeah, Yosef went away from Yaakov Avinu. But the 14 years that he hid in the Besmedas of Hashem Be'ever, and he learned Torah in Yeshiva, he didn't get punished that he didn't honor his parents. What do you mean? His parents sent him to go get a wife. He did something else. Same way his parents said, get a wife, come back. He stayed a long time, he got punished. So when he went to learn Torah, why didn't he get punished? Is it because the Torah protects? No. Kiddush of today is something simple. That side is hard. Simple smoke is no. This is Kibbud Avayim. I want to explain it. Very simple, but I want to explain this concept. There's a famous story. Shlomo, you show me that story. Forgot his name, you're going to tell me. Was a student in Rosh in Yeshiva. Yosale. And his father died. And his mother was an almana. His mother was a widow. And she sent him a letter. Yosale, Yosale. I'm all alone with the oldest son. The father died. And I need help at Balmasa. Come and help me. Yosale goes to Chaim Baloshim. And he is Chaim Baloshim or Chaim Alevi, even Brisky says, what can I do? Chaim Baloshim. So Chaim Baloshim tells him, with all the respect, you're learning Torah, and you cannot go help your mother. Hashem will help her. Sends her a letter. I'm sorry. Hashem won't take care. Where's Shlomo? Shlomo. Hashem won't take care. A month later, he gets another letter. Yosala, you don't know what happened. A fire came into town. And those days, the house was made out of wood. And destroyed and burnt all the houses in our street. And my house, our house, got burned. I have no food. Mina Shamayim, the rabbi helps me a little bit here and there, and he gave me a shelter underground. We need some food. Come, Yosale. How can you be so cruel? Leave the yeshiva and come help your Ima. Ima, I need your help. Yosale took the letter and went to Reb Chaim Balosh into the Rosh Yeshiva. He gives him the letter shaking. He knows now he has to leave the yeshiva. And in those days, to travel to yeshiva with a horse and carriage, it took a couple of weeks. You go to his town somewhere in Russia, and probably he's going to never have his chance ever to learn yeshiva ever in his life. He goes to the Rosh Yeshiva Chaim Balosh and he shows him the letter. And Chaim Balosh looks at the letter, thinks, and he tells Yosale, no. I don't know if I'm saying the story 100%. If he hide the letters, I don't remember what exactly the story, but he said, no, you cannot go. Can't go. It's all Yetzirah. What can you do? His mother's heart is ripping for his mother. And he has a Rosh Yeshiva that has the story of Chaim Baloshi. That no Kolatere Kulo is the Chavus of the Kohen Vilna. He tells them not to go. He started thinking maybe the Rosh Yeshiva has an interest. A good boy, once you need a boy in Yeshiva, who knows what? Yet so is thinking, who knows? But the Rosh Yeshiva said not to go. Hashem tells us to listen to the Chacham our generation. And this is what Hashem says, I'm not going. And he went to the yeshiva, said, let me tell you, and he's going, oh, and tears coming to his eyes. He remembers his mother sitting there in the dungeon. And he learns with all his energy. And a month comes by and he gets another letter. Yosale, he got a letter. He opens the letter. And his mother's shouting, give out! She screams in Yiddish. Oy vey, help us! Why? We're not coming. Where's your heart? The mother of little kids in a dungeon. She eats food from neighbors. She works a little bit here and there. She has a hard life. Come and help us. Our house was burned. My husband died. Why not coming? What's going on? Thus, they couldn't hold out. They stopped crying and crying. And the whole letter filled with tears. He can barely read the letters anymore. He went to Reb Chaim Baloshim. He knocked on the door. And Reb Chaim Baloshim says, yes, Yosaleh. Shows, here's the letter of my mother. She's asked me to come back. Maybe it's the time to come back. I already learned a couple of months in Yeshiva, almost half a year. I'm going to have to leave. What can I do? Reb Chaim Baloshim looks at him. He says, Yosaleh, you could know the Yetzirah can kill your father. The Yetzirah can burn entire city. The Yetzirah can make your mother sick and who knows what. Just to take you out of learning. Don't go, stay in learning. Chaim Baloshim. No, you know, a man on Ruach HaKodesh. How can it make sense? That's what he tells him. And it didn't go. It didn't go. A month later, another letter comes back. And this time, somebody else wrote the letter. Yosaleh, you should know, on your neighbor, your mother is sick. She's sitting in bed. She can barely take care of the children. Come home. He wrote on very long in the line under. This time, it goes to Chaim Baloshim. There's what should I do? Should go back or not? And the Chaim Baloshim said, no, listen, Torah. The Yitzhak can kill your father and your mother and burn the town and everything for you, Torah. Don't leave the Besmedrish. This is the story, I'm saying, right? More or less. Very famous story. And you know who came out of Rabbi Yosaleh? Rabbi Yosaleh Slutskin. He wrote many books. Anyhow, he became a big one of the Gdolah. So I want to explain what's going on. What does it mean that when Yaakov Avinu didn't go? He didn't go to honor his parents, and he went volunteer 14 years. He wasn't punished. It's not a sekul, it's not a protection. Rather, this is the emes kibud abayim. Maybe the parents don't know. They don't have the knowledge. But the true kibud abayim is when you sit learn Torah, you mezaker lo'olam habo. Bo mezaker habo. When the son learns Torah in the yeshiva, and he does mitzvahs connect to Hashem, he honored his father, the true honor. There's a fake honor, and there's a true honor. The true honor is what's the point of this world? Everybody dies in the end. The question is what you did in this world. What did you do in this world? Did you do Hashem's will? You gave. You took the opportunity of the world. Or you didn't. There is also Hashem's ways to go and work and be straight in your business. And work Hashem in business too. And working hard. But when a person's already learned to in Yeshiva, he has the schus to be in the highest form of serving Hashem, in the elite department of the army. You have that schus. How can you leave? This is the real honor to stay in the elite, to be a pilot, to be a shooter, sharpshooter, whatever it is in the elite. We have to know in Yeshiva. Every guy in Yeshiva, your mother's sick, it is true. But the true honor, what does the true honor mean? It's doing the real will of Hashem. Because the man is only Hashem, nothing else. The true honor is to do Hashem's will, because there's the true honor. Honor is it's not what people look honor. The honor is the true honor. The true value of life, that's a true honor. That's why he wasn't punished. Hashem should give us a bracha to do the real honor for our parents, and that is both in this world, good chance. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashoi, lo kulazak Yisrael. Here by the mitzvah shenemar, Adonai chotetzanat kol ha'itoyot b'yavim. Gadei shemei kavod. say Yami, Hayekol, we are the whole of base Israel. Babalo, who is not for the woman. יסבורך, ישתבח, יסבורך, ישמח, ישנשא, יסעדו, יסנא ויסלו, שמי לקודשו, בריחו, נגלו מכל ורצון ושרצון ושרצון ונכנסו, דן ירום בו מבירומן, על ישראל ועל רבונום ועל תלמידי אוי ועל כל תלמידי תלמידי אוי, ועל כל מנדוס כבוראי, שאתם רוצים לדעת קדישו עדי, אני בכל עשר ועשר, יהיה לאור לכל שלמה רב, וכן המחיץ ורחמים, אחד נריך לזוי לביקו, כל נריכון לשמי רב, וביקו אמן, יהיה שלמה רבו משמי, וכם עובי, ואפו נשמי ביקו אמן, וקשה שלו ירבו, ובחמו יעשה שלו ירבו, ואפו נשמי ביקו אמן. I just want to mention, we cannot learn from the story that if your mother is sick, you don't travel to take care of her. But in those days, if you left the yeshiva and never had a chance to learn back, definitely you don't go. So you have to know each case. You have to ask Rosh Yeshiva or Rabbi. But we're learning the value. That's what we learn. Can't learn exactly that story. But we're learning the value of what is Torah is about.
It says that Avraham Yaakov Avinu learned Shem and Eber, the laws of exile. Laws of being in Golas. But then I could say the word.
How do you close this? You close it? Close it.
He's still part of, in the midst of going.
Pero entonces esas yeshivot estaban puestas en los lugares donde les donaran, donde en los pueblos donde esos rabinos existieron. Y esos pueblos eran literalmente lejos. Incluso hay partes donde ellos escriben sus Divrei Toire que se investigó dónde era ese lugar, porque no se conocía ese lugar. Eran pueblos, eran muy remotos. Entonces el hecho de ir era no regresar a la casa, era ir y punto, no había más. Baruch Hashem, Rabbi, con los hijos, ¿no? מספר שלי? אחד דקה. I don't remember because I changed. 1 second. Dame un segundo. 050 862 62 74 51. לונדון. Yeah. הרב פיה. So you don't hear this. Okay, I fix it, no problem. ממש שמח על זה. I like it. You know, for example, today, the Rav Leiser know what is Sma have a problem in this because he have a question in the beginning. The many times he have a question in the end when he understands all the Shiur, but when he started the question in the beginning. I like it with this because you like with us all the week. So good for me. I like this. A Blazer. Ya le pregunto a Rav Shlomo. Rav Shlomo tiene la historia completa. Está escrita en los libros de historias de Rav Chaim Bolovich. Y ese libro hay que adquirirlo porque hay un libro de la Salafot de Rav Chaim Bolovich. No, hay libros por lo que hay un libro específico de las historias de Rav Chaim Bolovich. Chaim Pia. Mi Bolovich.